Welcome to the Cattle Talk Podcast, your weekly breakdown of cattle market fundamentals, key news, and the insights shaping the industry. Trading commodity futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
All right, it is Friday afternoon, August 14th, and I am afraid that we have to talk about the cattle market with Jeff today.
Oh, come on, Mike.
I know you're going to be a great guy to have on the podcast, talk about cattle. It's just an unfortunate week of events here for the cattle guys, isn't it?
It's been a long 3 days. There's no question about that.
The cattle producer, cattle buyer, all of the people associated with that industry just need a weekend here, don't they?
Markets can't go down on Saturday, Mike. That's the good news about Saturdays.
Cash they can.
Cash market can, yes.
Cash
fair.
they can.
That's
You
fair.
got to talk. What in the heck happened in the last 24 hours? I know it had developed earlier in this week too as rumors, but just explain why we did what we did here through this trading session today.
Yeah, well, I think most people are aware of the developments as far as Tyson put out there officially yesterday afternoon. And yeah, you get rumors starting to float around earlier in the week, but it's not the first time those rumors have been floated also, right? So it is, in this environment, in these type of markets, it gets hard to know, like, okay, the stuff that we're hearing, does it really matter? Is it, just people talking, or is it actually going to happen? And, yesterday when, even most of the packers were showing some interest in some cash cattle right up until about, noon, 1 o'clock before they started pulling their bids out of the marketplace. So I think it was certainly a bit of new information as we got into yesterday afternoon. And of course, that announcement is, those guys, Tyson wanting to sell the smaller plant in Pasco, Washington, and shut down the Joslin, Illinois plant, and then make some changes to their further processing case ready out in Utah. So another move by Tyson here to, adjust their supply situation and try to manage this the margin challenges that whole industry is having.
So you've got the Illinois one, you've got the Utah one that's in the news here, you've got the Amarillo one as well, and then the Washington one.
Yep.
Joslin, Illinois, that's the big one here, right? That one made the most market moving impact.
Yeah, that's the one that I think really matters.
That was 3,000 head a day initially is what that's your capacity.
Probably was running slower, just like all the rest of them.
Should have been like 2 to 2,400 head a day
Agree
type
with those
of a
numbers.
deal. And that one's done as of when?
Yesterday.
Done.
Yep. That's
Okay.
what we're hearing is walked out the door and shut the lights off and then aren't coming back.
So that's the big one. Utah, that one doesn't really matter, right? Case,
Correct.
Yeah, just nothing getting killed there. How would you describe that plant?
Well, I think, what all they're trying to really do is take some advantage of, economies of scale and efficiencies, right? So they'll do all the same work that they're doing there. They'll just try and get it done, spread out over their other processing locations.
So just a case-ready plant.
Yep.
All right. Now, how does Amarillo news fit into this as well? And the Washington one, they're just trying to sell that one, right?
That part's interesting too, though, because, there's not you get the Pennsylvania situation from a few weeks ago with JBS, wanting to close that plant down. And this is a similar situation. You get way on the fringes here. There's not that many cattle. You're killing both fed animals and cows. So I'm afraid I'm not sure who's going to step up and want to own that thing. Maybe there'll be some, smaller packer who's interested in more of a diversified type of an approach. Show up and look to buy that thing. But I think that'll be one of the challenges with the Washington location is somebody going to want to step in there and own that thing in this type of environment. So that'd be worth watching. But as of today, it's going to keep running. And as far as, cash cattle markets and box beef markets, that's what we really care about.
Now Amarillo.
The Amarillo announcement or maybe comments, I think the announcement's too strong of a word. I'm not sure they're really saying anything there, Mike. We knew, that plant slowed down here a few months ago when they shut down the Lexington, Nebraska plant. And still very capable of bringing that B shift, night shift back on at any time, right? So those guys saying, Tyson saying, hey, we're going to be able to kill some more at Amarillo. Well, that's not new information necessarily. What I think I hear them saying is, hey, when the supply increases and our margins increase, we've got the got to bring Amarillo back in on a second shift. And I think that's just a reminder to the industry, if you will, of we got a little flexibility here. We can turn back on some capacity because, and one of their bigger challenges there is, they're going to need to come across a bunch of workers. So that's not exactly a light switch that you can turn on and off, right? It might take some time once they do pull the pin and say, hey, we're going to start increasing our B shift. I foresee that would take some time to ramp that up even. But I don't think that's happening anytime soon, meaning like it'd be months, I would sure guess, before they start working on the second shift at Amarillo. That's just me speculating. I have no inside knowledge.
In 2 simple sentences, try to explain why all of this news came out and then what it means going forward.
Yeah, so one of the big questions, people have on this, of course, is, well, okay, when the Lexington announcement came out, the market really didn't suffer at all. And that's very true. I think this one's different. And we did perform really well today, better than what I was expecting. Now, also, what we're talking about, what is it, a good $10 off the market here in the past 3-4 days, right? So that all plays into it too. But in our opinion, what's different this time around is the packing industry is working really hard and making some headway on bringing the leverage back into their camp and forcing some margin, packer margin, into the industry. And I think they're doing a pretty good job of it. Cade's got the chart up here on the screen, and this one needs to be updated with basically today's information, right? As we trade some cash yesterday and into today, but they will on our proxy we'll have a negative $80 margin after today.
Pretty much the tightest it's been all year.
Exactly.
Now on that chart, you can see it there. There was one little time frame, the beginning of like March there, where it was almost where we flipped positive. Yep. Otherwise, it's been at least worse than $100 all year.
Yeah. So you're going to be and still quite confident that they're losing some money. That all depends on what metrics you want to use, of course. But yeah, they're doing better than what they have been most of this year. And they were doing that by really aggressive slowdown on the chain speeds and kill cuts, right? So, in my opinion, and then you look at the seasonality of this thing. This is the time of year that if the feedlot is going to lose some leverage, especially in the northern part of the Corn Belt, which is a heavier percentage of the cash negotiated cattle, or come up from Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota, of course. So. You look at the seasonality of it. Look at what the speed at which they had this thing slowed down. I think they were making some pretty good progress on gaining some leverage, and then so this announcement comes kind of on top of that progress, and it's immediate. It's not like, okay, we're going to close it down 2 months from now. Immediate impact. I think this secures, and we've talked about this a few times, Mike. I mean, for us, it makes us more confident that the packer will certainly make some money this fall. So you'll have cash prices lower than where the box beef is.
So it's all about leverage here. Speaking of box beef, that thing's acting actually pretty normal right now, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, so it is a little bit encouraged. So that's the next question that comes up, right? If you think about this in a little bit bigger picture, is like, okay, you're telling me the Packers, if we accept the fact that Packers are going to have some leverage, Packers are going to make some money, I don't think it'll be a lot, right? Like, I don't think they'll be able to just determine whatever the cash market they want it to be. It'll be linked to the box beef prices. So if you make that kind of adjustment in your thought process compared to what we've seen the past few years. Well, now the most logical question is, okay, that's great. Now where's box beef going? Right. So,
History would suggest up till the end of the month.
yeah, that's the history. And you might see that, but the important thing to note in this environment is, yes, we're seeing a normal increase in choice meat. But that could last until Labor Day, but you're doing that with extremely low kill levels, Mike. Mm-hmm. So we have reduced the supply of this thing in a big fashion, and that's getting us, this $10 to $13 increase in box beef. I'm afraid if we do see some margins here, and if we see I think that I got to believe the Packers are going to be interested in killing a few more cattle. That either that or the fact that you get closer and closer, or in a couple of weeks already through Labor Day, I think you're going to take these box beef prices back down again.
All right. Any other final thoughts for our cattle guys to look forward to here? It's going to be a hard market to analyze. Nothing new there for the cattle market here recently, but next week, pretty big week again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Cash wants to do. What they tried to do today is come in here and buy them, in the low 220s, right? 223 to 225 earlier today. Did not get that job done. So I had to come back here this afternoon and pay some more 228. I think that's really good news. I think we'll see more of that. The feedlots really aren't interested in panic selling a lot of cattle here. It's got to make sense. It's either got to make sense from a basis standpoint for the hedger, or a way for the open market cattle to maybe get rid of some inventory, but at some reasonable levels compared to their break evens. I think most of the cattle are probably losing some money today, but not a lot either. So I think the cooler heads kind of prevailed here when the day was all said and done, and that's what you've seen happen in the futures market too. Went down from 4 something to lower, just trading $1 lower on the day. I think that's some really good signals to this market. But next week is another week. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Jeff. Please reach out if you have any questions on some of the LRP or LGM products here going into tonight, or if you have any questions about any other market research or daily market information, please click the link on the description below. You can get hooked up with some of that. Thank you, Jeff. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.